Welcome back to SCTV Sports Talk alongside my partner Simone Walker. I'm Dan Layton. Simone, you're here to talk about NBA super teams. So I'm just going to ask you the question straight up. Do super teams work in the NBA?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me, Dan. Do super teams work? No, I do not think they do. I think that we've seen a lot of teams spend so much money acquiring these players, and the players don't end up producing championships for them, let alone they don't even make the playoffs sometimes.
So you say that super teams don't work. What exactly is it that super teams lack that gets them over to that next step to win a championship?
Super teams in the NBA, they lack the resources, and by that I mean the money to acquire role players in the league today. We've seen the last 5 champions. Denver, they were a team that built themselves up. Golden State, a team that drafted. Of course, they do have Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, but this was a team that slowly drafted players and was able to establish a solid team that includes role players along with stars. The other one, Milwaukee, they drafted Giannis, they acquired Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. They built these teams organically, and that's what works in the NBA, not super teams.
So you mentioned all these teams like Golden State, Milwaukee, and Denver. I can name a lot of super teams just off the top of my head, but what was which super team was the biggest failure, do you think, in this era of building teams through free agency?
Has to be the Brooklyn Nets. They spent all this money to get Kevin Durant. They got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and I don't even believe that they played more than 20 games together.
I think it was like 18 games.
That's ridiculous. The Nets, you look at that team, you look at the money they're spending to get these superstars, you see the hype that's building, all for the team to barely make the playoffs or to get swept in the first round, not win a championship. These players are put together to win championships. It's absolutely ridiculous. Don't even get me started on how they hired Steve Nash, because
I just was going to get to how part of it's coaching, because Steve Nash was not that great of a coach and not that credible of a coach.
Exactly. I just don't understand how you have this amount of players and you have this coach that you're bringing in who was a great point guard in his own right. I just don't understand how you can't put it together.
Well, that'll do it. Alongside my partner Simone Walker, I'm Dan Layton. Have a good night.